I have some rocks here that my sister found on the East Coast, and I've offered to do some polishing. These are kind of interesting looking rocks. This one looks kind of like a conglomerate or meta-conglomerate or some type of brecciated metamorphic rock. It's hard to tell, but it's got some interesting bits and bobs in there. We got a couple maybe agates. This might be something, or it could just be a chert nodule. I think I'm just going to polish this face up. We've got this guy. Kind of looks like porphyry, but then it also has got these like little quartzy pockets, so I don't know. Maybe just a interesting looking piece of granite. Then we got some smaller fragments of like chalcedony. This could be maybe a porcelain agate vein. I'm not a little bit unsure. It might just be a vein of chert. Got some more bits of chalcedony. Just small stuff that I'm going to polish up. And we got this piece. I think it's chalcedony. I think it's kind of like a yellow plumy material. But it could just also just be a quartzy material. It's a bit hard to tell. But I think I'll polish up this face. And last but not least, my sister definitely did find at least one definite piece of chalcedony. Some pretty awesome stuff. This one's got a quartz pocket on the back. And you can see there's some kind of fire plumes. It's a really dark chalcedony, but even on this side you can kind of see there's some, it's hard to tell where it is. Let's see. I know there's some fortification banding on this side, but it doesn't seem to want to show up. But this piece I'm going to have to do some thinking about on how I want to tackle it. I could just cut it in half and polish the two halves. Try and get a large of a face as possible. Or I could tackle the sides, but I know the sides will be fractured, so I'm leaning to cutting it in half, just like there, to get a decent face on it. But this one I'll have to decide. I still have to set up my saw. I just have my polisher set up, so for the pieces that I'm just going to take straight to the polisher I can. But with the other ones, I'm gonna have to take to the saw and cut and polish. I thought I'd show you folks my new setup. It's actually just in the laundry room, but we installed kind of this standing height countertop, and I have my flat lap, my 8-inch flat lap, and my 10-inch table saw now set up here. And I've got my little cupboard little thing that I keep my discs in. And I got my saw blades on top, and then one of my other discs. And I've got a bunch of storage and stuff for my rocks and stuff. And just to give you guys a little sneak peek of some further projects, I've got a whole bunch of cut up agates in there. But I thought I'd just show you guys my setup. I've got the saw here. I'm still running it on water. I haven't switched over to mineral oil because it's just too messy, and I'm okay with just taking the saw blade out and wiping it dry once I'm done using it. And then I've got my flat lap set up here. I gotta get a yogurt container. One thing that I would advise people who use the high-tech diamond flat lap is the buckets that they provide are, I find, they fill up way too quick. And actually, I got a container here where I dump my water so that I don't have to continue to, because what I was doing is taking this bucket upstairs outside and dumping it in the backyard, but now I just fill this up. But I would advise getting a yogurt container, like a tall yogurt container, and just having that. And I still have the drip feed set up, though they do have an automatic, high-tech does offer a automatic water feed, water pump system. Probably going to be a future thing for me. You can see in the background over here, we've got the pieces of agate and stuff that my sister collected that I showed you earlier on, and are currently getting polished up. But I thought I'd just do a quick kind of tour of my new setup to kind of show you guys how it is now, because it used to be that I just had this kind of fold out kind of workbench in our unrenovated basement, and that's where I had it set up, and it wasn't exactly the most high-tech or well put together setup. And I feel like this is a good step in the right direction. And actually, with the back walls here, we actually painted it with like a waterproof paint. And also when I run my saw now, I run it with a old towel on the back just to catch the extra splashing that sometimes occurs when cutting. So this area is kind of like waterproofed up and made splash resistant, which is also a good thing. And yeah, I'm very happy with it. I'm happy that I can get back to Lapidary while I kind of wait for the weather to get a bit better. But without further ado, let's get back to the rocks at hand. So here we have them all cut up and polished. Here we have that interesting little greenstone with like the kind of the flex. Said it might be conglomerate. I think it's more of like a bread shaded material. And then it's got a little bit of like a quartz bit on top. But looking at it, I think it's some type of bread shaded material, just with maybe some heavy amounts of epidote in it. Or it could still be some type of conglomerate, but I'm leaning towards just breccia with just random bits and bobs in it. I was hoping the colors would pop a bit more on this one, but they're a bit more muted than I thought they would be. But this is the kind of the weird super, you can even see it in the polish. There's some divoted areas that didn't get properly polished, just to what this material is. But very interesting. Don't know for sure what it is. I'd assume that might even be a bit of like a pocket of crystal or something, but I assume this might be some type of interesting metamorphic rock, but I'm not 100% sure. Got some very interesting stuff in it, but didn't polish up as well as I liked it to be. But that's sometimes what happens with these rocks, is some of them polish up better and some of them don't take the polish up as well. The colors didn't pop as much as I liked them to. Now this piece, I was kind of hoping it to be more agate, but it looks like it's just a kind of interesting chert nodule with just some interesting colors and different textures and stuff. Still kind of cool to polish up. And it took overall, like the edges were a bit softer and grainier, so those didn't take up as good as a polish as the middle part. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the outcome of this one. couple little seam bits. This is just some chalcedony, whereas this is mostly, I believe, quartz and maybe just a tad bit of chalcedony, but mostly quartz in this one. Whereas this one is like just a kind of smoky grayish blue chalcedony. Now, super interesting features like the plumes, but that'll come later in the video. This piece turned out really nice. I liked this one, took the polish really nicely, and it brought out all the interesting little tidbits in there. Whether this is a conglomerate or meta conglomerate, I'm not 100% sure, but I would lean to maybe a meta conglomerate. But very cool looking rock. It could also just be like a granite with some larger like crystals in it. That could be the case too, actually, looking at it. That is probably a good possibility as well. But took the polish really well, brought out all those little tidbits nicely, so I'm quite happy with this one. Now getting on to the agates. This little chunk took a really nice polish, super glassy, just a little bit of pitting because of the interesting kind of mossy, plumy yellow material in there. This is pretty cool. I like how this one turned out. It took a really good polish, and it brought out that nice yellow mossy bits. Up next we have this seam of quartz. It's mostly quartz with, I think, a hint of agate along the edges with some interesting kind of like white plumy material. It actually turned out a lot more interesting than I thought it would. Thought it would be mostly quartz, but this kind of white rind kind of came through. It's some type of probably like opaque white chalcedony, almost like maybe chert-like, I don't know. Probably not exactly chert, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. But it turned out pretty nicely. It's got some interesting white features along with the crystal. You can kind of see the polish wasn't as nice because it's just the natural pock marks and stuff left by the quartz. And the white material was a little bit better. There are some tiny little pock marks, but overall it was the quartz that seemed to be the most pock marked. But that's just what happens sometimes when you're polishing. Now on to the star of the main show. You can see these took a pretty decent polish. At the end I had a little bit of a scare. I think my polishing pad got contaminated. Thankfully I had a fresh one that I had ordered just in case sitting by, so I took this back down a couple grits. I think I went back to 1,200, got rid of those little scratches, and then went back up to the polishing pad, finished it off at 14,000. Yeah, these seam agates are pretty darn cool, I have to say. They're quite reflective right now, but they've got, so to run you through these seam agates, you've got these really nice red plumes on on the green outer husk, and then some of these red plumes shows up better in the other piece. But some of these red plumes, one of them over here has that example, have like these little, what I believe are black magnesium dendritic spots. And then in the middle, you get these pockets of kind of fortified clear agate, but then also this really interesting kind of dark green, blackish agate. And once in a while, there's quartz pockets in that dark green agate. I've never personally seen agate this kind of color, so it's quite impressive and quite interesting in my opinion. Now this piece kind of shows the black spots a bit better. You can kind of see them along the tops, and you can see just the awesome fiery plumes. And you got some of that clear fortification banding that I was talking about along the edge there, but you still got that really dark kind of black green center, which is really interesting. Unfortunately, this piece, when I tried cutting it, I tried to take a couple slabs out the middle. The first slab I cut a bit too thin, and just because of the fractures of it being a beach tumbled seam agate, the first one imploded on me. Thankfully, the second one survived, so I can show you guys that one. But it does have some fracturing, unfortunately, just due to it being a beach tumbled seam agate. But the features on it, I still think, are quite amazing, and I'm 100% sure that my sister will love these pieces, because the details and the features are quite mind-blowing. You can see me in the background there. Hello. But yeah, these took a pretty good polish. Here's the other piece of seam agate. This one, interesting for whatever reason, with this slab that I took, the green chalcedony seemed to have these like pock marks in it, and I don't know what changed from the outer end caps to this piece, but for whatever reason, these, just like the chalcedony, is a bit softer, and I don't understand why. But you can see the red plumes really nicely, and those really nice black kind of magnesium features, I believe. And then you've got that green pocket of chalcedony in the middle, and on this side you've got a nice pocket of fortified white clear agate. But then again, you can see the fractures, the natural fractures that are just showing up. But still a very awesome piece, and I'm quite happy with how these turned out, all things considered. They were a struggle to get going and get polished properly, but I figured it out, thankfully, and I think my sister's really gonna love these pieces. One more thing, I thought I'd show you guys the seam agate when it's backlit. It's quite cool. You can see all those features kind of popping out. Very cool seam agate for sure. We have gotten to the end of the video. Please do, in the comment section below, let me know which of these pieces you found the most interesting and liked. I have a sneaking suspicion people are gonna be drawn towards the agates. I know I would. Please do also, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel, and it helps keep you connected to my channel if you're interested in seeing more of my videos. And please, folks, just have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.